You are tuning into another episode of Hey Mumma, where mamas get real, honest, juicy, vulnerable. Juicy. Yeah, sometimes these stories can be juicy, including ours. So we're also getting vulnerable, raw, honest, and juicy. And this is the final episode of season 2, talking about us coming together, staying together. And we're going to figure out what this episode is going to be called after we do the episode, after the fact.
Cool.
We left the previous episode about what nearly didn't happen and how we nearly didn't make it.
Yes.
And we're going to go from coming back from Malaysia in the house that we bought, coming back from Malaysia 2019, and we kind of were like, ooh, we're not going to have coaches anymore. We worked really hard on our bodies, on our business, and on our family. And then we were planning on, or we went up for a holiday in March 2020 with our family, like my side of the family, for big events. Mary turned 10,
yep.
And Mum turned 60, and my stepdad turned 70. So we all went up to the Gold Coast for a big holiday, and I was in complete denial of COVID.
Right. So we were in Sydney Airport as the news broke about COVID, about 7 days, and it started to be a little bit of a ghost town. But by the time we got back, it was...
Well, we went to the Gold Coast, and the whole COVID was occurring here. But before that, I was complete denial. I mean Australia.
Yeah.
So before that, I was in complete denial. Like, it won't touch us. And I know I've spoken to many people that have been like that as well. Oh, it's over there, and that's bad. It won't touch us. We weren't going to lockdown when there was talks of lockdown as well. And so we did the Gold Coast, and then it was all coming to a head.
Yep.
And we just got back to Dubbo, and they announced the lockdown for 3 months or something.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay, cool. I was taking it very, I had a bit of a sense of humour about it. It's like, yeah, cool. I've partied in Malaysia. I've partied up at the Gold Coast. I'm ready to be locked down and be antisocial for a while. But we don't understand, or we don't grasp the effects that it's actually going to have on you. And so until it's happening, and what's happening, and then in hindsight. So we're in the lockdown, and there's a lot of time on your hands. There's a lot where our business had to be, of course, fully online again.
Yep.
Anyway, we had to sort of reinvent, because we were meeting up with some clients once a month anyway with my own kind of program.
Yeah.
So we had to then go live, do workouts with them, try and still keep them interested, still try and keep them goal-orientated and health-orientated with everything that was happening.
Yeah. Because that's the thing, you get locked down, and all of a sudden no one sees you. You're two-piece bikini, so
They can't
get back the goes. But a big thing that came out of COVID was the mental health and the connection between movement and mental health. So
definitely, and having goals and having something to work towards. Yeah, even though it was so hard for us to even get a workout. Like we would get a workout in, but it wasn't as effective as when we were going to the gym, right? And with my TRX, we'd pretty much sold all our equipment where we didn't have a gym anymore. So we were just sort of like doing the functional fire kind of workouts with the TRX bands and body weight exercises. And it really does drag you down heavily when you don't have that sort of freedom.
yeah.
And I remember we going a little bit, with the undesirables down the street. We hadn't seen such people for weeks and weren't allowed to socialise. But then I was outside one day and the undesirables, that were off their head on something.
Yeah.
And I got excited, and I was walking up the street, and I got excited, and I was nearly going to shout out hi and have a conversation with them. So I give
For context, we had a pub up one end of the road, and then we had the block of units down the end of the road where we had the undesirables, and that was like a bit of a highway. But the pub would have been locked down.
But also, they had to have the takeaway as well at some stage. But anyway, I just thought it was funny that I was like somebody that I wouldn't normally approach, and we sort of walk past each other and not really pay any attention. I was so isolated from socialization that I was like, hey, I was really going to start a conversation with them. So in that zone of COVID, trying to post-school, the kids, and all that kind of thing, and you trying to keep the business alive and me doing the best that I could within the business as well, I started to really think, where are we going? And I know a lot of people could relate that you get some sort of deep thoughts and things that go into your head. So I started to question, like, what's going to happen after this? And I really always wanted more opportunities. I felt like a bit of a caged lion. Living in Dubbo in a small country town, that's just not my jam. It's just not me. Like I just explained that story before. I'm very social. I'm very, YOLO.
Yeah, we both found our way to Dubbo, but we didn't belong.
Never belonged there. No, we never felt like home, right?
Yeah.
So I always, and I've got a lot of faith, and I feel that Mary has a lot of talents, and she was getting right into her dancing, and that was another hard thing too, to not be able to do their hobbies.
Yeah.
So I started thinking about where I wanted Mary to go to high school, because I didn't want her going to high school in a small town where the opportunities are limited. That's us. That's the way we think.
Yep.
They're our values. So I started researching creative schools and performing arts schools in Queensland. I always wanted to get back home. I was born in Brisbane, and I had always had such a tie. A lot of family members were here, so I always felt drawn to the Sunshine State.
Yeah.
And
for me, I suppose it was always a holiday place to go, so living up there was really exciting. The
thought of that's right, and the thought of adventure, freedom, and doing what we've always said we were going to do. Sure. So I started researching high schools. I found a high school that I really wanted. I thought this is going to be a great opportunity for Mary, and we always, in the back of our heads, minds, taught shower chats, whatever. I could never actually visualize Logie going to school in Dubbo either. It was always, a kind of a thing in me that she would go somewhere else. We would be somewhere else by the time she went to school.
Yeah, because it lined up with how Miri was going to class.
Yeah.
It was a perfect kind of segue from that stage of life where it was one at home and one at primary school and the big girls going off to high school, the little girls starting school. It was somewhere fresh.
That's right.
On this next adventure.
And so I found a school that I thought would be excellent, and I started manifesting it, started visualizing it, started talking about it, getting together a visual arts folder for Mary, just in case she had to do a scholarship to make it in there. So then on the other side of it, what came up for you?
Well, I remember you looking at the school.
And
you were
like,
and I was like,
come into that.
That's a great idea, babe. How the hell are we going to get there?
Such a cool.
We got faith over here and then logic over here, and I kind of just brushed it off. And it was brushing it off, not in a way of, it's never going to happen, but it's just a not right now thing. So.
Well, you're just questioning how? You're just being illogical?
Yeah. But I definitely was like, all right, we'll put it in the bag. And, I was being a realist. There's probably hundreds of kids that want to get to the school. There's probably hundreds of applications for scholarships. What would they gain from having someone from Dubbo come up, right? So that's the way I was here.
Yeah.
And then as time went on, we kind of put it in the back of the line. Because there was quite a gap.
Still there, is still sitting there. There was a gap because Mary still had one more year of year 6 to go, one more year of primary school to go.
Yeah.
In that 2020. So she was still in year 5.
Far out.
So she was going to be
That's a long time.
Yeah.
So
COVID kind of came out, like we got out of
got a
lockdown.
And it was back into that kind of, all right, life's not the same, but this is what it is. And as we came out to that stage, little ad came up on my face for it. It was really weird that it came up, but I saw it and I thought, you know what, just for shits and giggles, I was standing in our bedroom.
And you said, look at this.
Yeah, I was standing in the bedroom at the time. I was standing between the bed and the mirror. If you can visualize where I was standing, I was standing in between the bed and the mirror, and I saw this ad come up. It was like looking for a part-time personal trainer in Brisbane, and it was with an old colleague. So I quickly just typed in my application, and I knew as soon as they'd get it, there'd be a bit of a laugh and a, whoa, Peter Brown just applied, which
was an old solid, someone that you'd known for a while.
So this part-time position comes up. They're of course like, yes, cool, we want you up there, come up. So I come up for a little stint, about 14 days.
2 weeks.
Yeah, so I said I've come up for 14 days, and while all of this is happening, my plan was to just sleep on the gym floor and not worry about accommodation. But then a mate of a previous client who turned into a really good mate, came into the gym one day, and I'm at the front desk, Megan's off having the chat to him, and then he comes over, or was it you that came over? He comes over and he was stay with me. So I was like, whoa, blown away, cool. So all of this stuff is falling.
The lining,
I stay with my mate, and we I check out Brisbane, I check out the job.
You've basically been falling in love with Brisbane there.
All in love with Brisbane at that time. And it's at the same time that I'm going around, I'm looking at West End, and I had no idea what the hell that was. I went out to the gym that was in Bowen Hills, and it was all very centrally located. It was beautiful, just the lifestyle, and I could really envision us. Mate and I, we went for a run around South Bank, and I saw the community garden, man. I saw the beach. When the beach just came into view, I was like, holy crap, this is, like, I've lived in Western Sydney, I've lived in Adelaide, I lived in Dubbo. I've never seen anything like it. If you've ever seen Brisbane, South Bank, it's like this man-made beach in the middle of a
city.
So that was really cool to see. I could really visualize us living here. But I have to come back to Dubbo. So I came back to Dubbo, and for a few months there, nothing happens.
Well, it was just how are you going to make this work? How are we going to make this work? How is it going to happen?
Yeah.
Right? But I hadn't, so much, again, the action without thinking, the action without thought that something is happening, something is moving. And we went up for a holiday at the end of the year to spend New Year's here.
Yep.
And just have a bit of a break and also visualize and see if this was what we could do. We showed Miri the school that she could potentially be going to. The opportunity had
presented itself. So by the time we got to Valentine's Day, February, it was time to kind of bite the bullet and say, we got to make a move on this.
Because he was waiting for you as well.
It had been pushed back. So I came up here in October. I didn't get back until February. And there were a couple of months there where it was just in limbo. And I remember having to just go, all right, I'm going to jump off this cliff.
It was after Valentine's Day. Do you remember we had a bit of a wild night with a bunch of friends, or day turned into night.
Yeah.
And you did we just had to, I remember sitting on the couch with you, I was saying to you, okay, what are you going to do? What are we going to do to move?
Yeah, because I kept second guessing,
It's hard.
I kept not wanting to leave my family.
Because we also didn't, it was up in the air of when we would be able to join you.
Yes, because at the time, that no one had been told that's all our play was. It was just you and I. Mm-hmm. So if you've been watching, there are other stakeholders in that decision, which was tough. obviously.
And as stakeholders, was just like a no, this wasn't happening. So we had to just do it and see what happened.
Yeah. So I mean,
That was another one of those moments.
in February, took the car, put everything in the car, and just winged it. So a colleague of mine let me stay at the gym, like indefinitely. And I stayed for a total of 12 weeks.
It was a tough talk.
So I was living up in this mezzanine converted into an office space on a little sofa lounge, and not even the sofa lounge, eventually just the cushions off it, because it didn't fold out, that's right. And then for about 12 weeks it was me sleeping in a sleeping bag, getting up in the morning, going downstairs, doing a 5:30 a.m. shift to about 8:30, jumping on my bike, going down and having coffee by the river, and just working my ass off to try and get this Fit My Method going at the same time. So I was working for Prestige Fit, trying to get Fit My Method really humming along, and also started to look for apartments around 6 week mark, I think, a 4 or 6 week mark. And that I at that point, the car, I had to take it back because you need the car. And that flew up.
Oh, you surprised us because Brisbane was going into a lockdown. It was around Easter, and you were trying to surprise them. You can't surprise them. Very rarely do you catch me on that. But you drove down in the car to get away from the lockdown so you could come and visit for Easter, and return the car, and you were going to fly back up.
Yeah, so that's what happened there. That was nice, like to come back with surprise.
You surprised Lodi, and that beautiful video of you surprising Lodi.
Yeah.
And oh my goodness, she missed her dad. Dad.
Yeah. So that was a really gut-wrenching period. I started looking for the apartment, and I was riding in and out of West End from Bald Hills, which was about 5k trip there and back. It was all that twice a day to just see all the apartments. And
You're doing night shift as well, though, at the gym as well.
yeah, up at 8 p.m. Yep, doing that crazy stuff, dude. When you just get shit done. And I'd met some really cool guys, and I met this one Englishman. And
Before you tell that story, though, because we were having some issues on how hard it was being apart.
Yeah.
And then you tried to do a surprise. I was planning your 30th birthday.
Yes.
Working in May.
Yes.
Yeah. And then, what happened before that story? Or
I heard.
what was happening for you?
Yeah, I thought. I was up here missing my family and missing my, not my wife yet, missing my fiance, missing my baby mother. And instead of spending money on bringing them up and doing something for me for my birthday, I just thought, why not? We've been talking about it for years.
Yes.
We didn't have family that we wanted to invite to this particular event.
Tossing that, it was so hard. It was all or nothing. It was complicated.
They didn't get along, yeah. So, we just decided to elope. And I just decided to elope.
Yeah, you just decided.
I contacted the Brisbane elopers. Gold Coast Elopers was the company that I contacted. Or was it that? Yeah, it was. And that was the initial contact that I made. And then from there, I told you.
Well, you were going to surprise. You were going to surprise them. And here's the thing, guys, is he had sent out this email and contact somebody and said, instead, my fiance wants to surprise me for my 30th birthday, but I want to surprise her back by getting married. And you were speaking back and forth. And then we were having a fight one night, and you sent that to me and said, this is what I've been trying to plan. And I was like, I'm so glad you told me. Because how was that gonna work?
Even how was I going to pull it off?
How? Oh, yeah. How? They were like, how? And this is, you know, as every woman knows, if you're gonna do a wedding or an elopement, the woman needs to say.
Yeah.
And going backwards, I'd already picked out a dress. We didn't know when, who, where, when. We picked the dress out. Like, we just decided to go for a weekend in Sydney, just the two of us. And I did not. Yeah, when it opened up, and I went and bought this wedding dress because we thought it's going to happen one day. I don't even know why. And we decided, I went and got this wedding dress, and then just was just being held at Mum's.
Yep.
Yeah. And so then the wedding dress was already there, ready to go. And then you did that, and then you did that. Then you told me, I was like, oh, I'm so glad you told that. And then I was like, okay, I'll chat with these people. No, they're not the right ones. No, they're not the right ones. So I did my research and I booked this in with Gold Coast Elopements.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And that was good.
And then we sort of got us, and I understand your reasoning, because you said we were so down in the dumps, and, you know, I had Lobes crying every day how much she missed you, and our family just wasn't the same. Like, Miri just obviously doesn't show her emotions as much as Loki, but she's still affected by it. A piece of her life was missing as well. A piece of the puzzle was missing, and so it was really tough. And so we had to have something that we could look forward to and be happy about.
Yeah, and it makes so much sense that we gravitated towards that, because we are that type of couple that needs to have milestones, these to achieve things.
Yeah,
to
know where we're going.
Know where we're going. And at that point, there was so much uncertainty. I wanted some kind of certainty.
And uncertainties, everyone knows from COVID how gut-wrenching, how it flares your anxiety up. Everybody has got some sort of anxiety of some sort from this uncertainty. So we had to have our plan.
Yeah.
You know, because this plan was to move to Brisbane, but something was getting in the way of that plan. So we had to have some other plan to go, no, we can take control of this. Yeah. We can't control this right now, but we can control this. Yeah. And it did make us, you know, look forward. This was a surprise elopement as well. We didn't tell anybody, apart from my mum, who had to help us with plans, arrangements and things. But we decided to just have the four of us get married.
Yep.
Yeah. So we were planning that. Then you can go to your...
And then I decided to go out for a night of just drinks with some friends that I'd met.
Blow us a sing, we're working hard, it's emotionally draining.
Yeah, and I remember getting up on a Saturday, Sunday, and just having an empty gym to myself, and it was freaking lonely. It was so lonely. So, you know, I could only FaceTime you guys so much. And I would spend all the hours just, you know, doing nothing, just to keep the day going. And that's when I went out for a couple of drinks with the boys, and it turned into more than a couple of drinks. And it actually turned into a very drinks were flowing, let's just say that. And my phone at the time died, and I didn't care to message you, which in hindsight, I shouldn't just bloody send the text, but I suppose because everything was starting to move smoothly again, I just became complacent, which is something that I do. I just became complacent, and the night went wild. We went to a couple of different locations, and then my phone died, and I stumbled home without them. And I stumbled home without them a fair way. And then I went upstairs and just blacked out, went to sleep. Didn't wake up till 12 p.m. on our anniversary day.
Yeah, I couldn't get in contact.
Couldn't get in contact with me. So how'd that feel?
Oh, so it was a gut-wrenching, again, feeling in the way that I couldn't get in contact with you. I worry about you. like I said in the last podcast, I'm fiercely protective over you as well. And it's also unlike behavior. It's not common behavior for you. So then that's why I worried. And that's why I worried that that day that I couldn't get in contact with you. I knew you went out and I told you to have a good time. And let your hair down, and because of everything that was going on. But I also thought that you would make sure you let me know that you were at home safe.
Yep.
You didn't. You went to the gym and you passed out, and I had to contact the boss and say, can you just make sure that he's on the hive and then that he got home okay. And that was on our 8-year anniversary that you did that. And so things just blew up there. And I remember Mary, I was crying and worrying about you, and Mary was sort of like, Mom, you're overreacting, like, I'm sure he's fine. And then, of course, like I don't know any female, but I am going to say, like a lot of females, you want to be like, oh my God, thank goodness you're safe, but you also want to like slack them for making you go through those emotions as well. In this time of you being away and we being up in Brisbane and the uncertainty, the missing piece of our puzzle in our house, there was a mouse plague in the Dubbo. Like anything and everything that could possibly go wrong while you were away happened. And this particular event was the mouse plague. We had been okay, like our house seemed to avoid it, and I was like, oh, it must be because I'm nice and clean, and I make sure that I thought that there was plug holes and everything. And then it finally hit us. We hadn't escaped the mouse plague, and I had to deal with that on my own. And I felt it was so violating that these mice were in our house and we could hear them. Oh, and while you went up for those 2 weeks, we got a cat. Remember you went up to Brisbane for 2 weeks back in October, and I decided to get a cat. And so we had this cat. So she served really well, but at the same time it was very scary because one morning I woke up and I had the door shut, and I had the girls in the bedroom with me. I could hear these noise. I was like, I thought someone had broken into the house, and I was panicking, and also like my heart was going a million miles an hour, and thinking about plans on what's going to happen here, how can we escape, or what am I going to do if there is somebody in the house. And then I don't know whether I opened the door or what I ended up doing, but it was just the cat got a mouse and was having a good old time with it.
Yeah.
And it was making these types of noises. But there was when I found the mice in the house, I had put the cat in. It was because it was in the laundry where the mice were, and had gotten in from the garage. So they'd obviously gotten into the garage and been there for a little while, but I hadn't noticed. And then they'd somehow gotten in through some little travel, because they were just getting in everywhere and anywhere, everywhere.
Yeah.
So they'd gotten into the laundry. I put the cat in the laundry and got our dining room table, and put it up in the doorway because there was no door to close off the laundry. So this is the state of the house. We're putting that up there, like sitting a mat down where the dining room table was, and I was like, girls, we don't have a table. That's being used to block the mice out, and I want the cat to get into the mice. So I also had to set traps. I also had to kill a mouse one morning for when it had been set of the sticky traps. And it was just, I was just awful. And I was having multiple breakdowns to you, just going, like, what else can happen?
Yeah.
And so then in the meantime, I got rid of the mice, there had to be the soldier on. I put the traps up. I got somebody out to check, make sure there wasn't rats in the roof, plugged the holes, all that kind of thing. The mice were no longer in the house. And so then we came on it and got married. And
Right. So I had an apartment was perfect.
Big time.
I moved in, had no electricity for the first couple of days, but had a comfy bed, so that was
Cheer.
it was so nice. I remember that first night's sleep on a mattress on the floor in this cupboard, and it was bliss.
It was a step up from the fruitop
Yeah.
couches.
Well, at that stage, I was on a camping bed, like one of those camping beds with the pillows on top of the camping bed, even inside my sleeping bag. So yes, it was a big step up in the world. Slept on this mattress, and then I was like, cool, all right, let's get this house ready for them when they were about to come up for this wedding. And that was exciting, to show you our new home. I got to also get married to you, which is beautiful.
On your 30th birthday.
Yes.
Such a milestone.
Ceremony, some lovely photos, which we'll have to put up on the video version of this podcast to show you just the magical moment that had been created out of all of this turmoil, out of all this uncertainty, out of all of this heart.
Really battered most was the four of us together under the fairy trees.
And I felt proud to have you now my wife. I was your husband, and we were almost living up here in Brisbane. You turned around,
Taste it.
went back to Dubbo, and told me that Logie cried the whole way home.
Oh, we all did, but Logie and Miri were both crying. Yeah, both crying on the plane. Not ready to leave. Loved the place, even though they only had 2 mattresses on about the bedroom floor as well. Loved the place, loved the vibe. Didn't want to leave you. And you sent me flowers when I arrived back home and said, that's the last time I'm going to be saying goodbye to you.
Yeah. And then I came down 8 days later to come get you. With the girls. So by that point, packed up.
And checked out everywhere.
Checked out, yeah.
Yeah, mentally I checked out from Dubbo everywhere.
Yeah. So we did the long drive up, and
in the middle of the night.
Moved to Brisbane, didn't we? We got here over the Brisbane city lights coming over the horizon, over the crest, and it was about 9 p.m. at night, and we finally were like, oh wow, it's about great the relief, like back together, we're here. We didn't know what was up ahead, did we? The challenges that we're about to face. We faced them though. It was just a rough first 12 months that it hit.
Of course, yeah. Like we had to fight for our freedom to give up we had to make that decision for what was best for our family unit. We made that decision to pack up and leave, and then face the consequences when we got here. And we did have to face the consequences. We did fight for our family, and we won for our family. That was massive turmoil. And do we want to just then now talk about where we're at?
Yeah. So I spent about 18 months working for my old colleague, and I look back at it with 2 varying opinions. You remind me of the first one, is that it happened for a reason, and then I look back on it as just time where I dulled my light down and sort of shrunk a bit, hid as a man, and didn't actually stand up and speak. So that was a really formative period of time for me, because if you look back the entire history, this was the first time we both landed in a place of our own decision. So no parents around, no family. We were here by ourselves.
No exterior influences.
No exterior influences, but no exterior support. No matter how small or large that support was, there was no net to be caught by. And we got up here, and then through those formative 18 months, I managed to build up the courage to go back into our own thing. And yeah, that only happened back July 2022. So from May 2021, July 22, it was that really, is this all, we come up here to Brisbane to just me work 40 hours somewhere and not enjoy life in Brisbane.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, I'm very grateful for the opportunity that I had there. It provided the stability and the security that I needed to move you up here. But it was time to move on.
Yeah, it's not a path anymore.
I didn't take action early enough, which is very like me, much like me. Going back to the time that you had to say, what are you doing, Pete? You actually go up to Brisbane. And I was like, oh, okay, I better get in the car and drive it. This happened again to me, so I'm learning that I've got to make decisions quicker. I've got to make decisions quicker and trust my intuition. And
the universe would present you opportunities, and you pass them a couple of times, you'd sort of toss them aside.
Yeah.
So then the universe was like, okay, I'm going to promote another over here. But load it up so you have no choice.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I already know that because I've had things like that happen to me, where I had and ahh'd, and then something more just pushing.
Yeah. So I'm getting better at feeling the push before the push is too hard and before it's a shove. Out of 60-kilometre car going down the highway. But now we're here and we're both back in business
Together. Yeah.
Doing the Fit Fam thing. We have a lot to look forward to. We've released our Fit Fam cookbook.
Yeah, so last year we talked about it, and through all of this, we're like, yeah, we've got to all these recipes that we've got. We've done these reels, and the kids join in with the reels, and they've got their own recipes and their own ways of doing these things.
Oh yeah,
How heavenly already thought of that. Yes, we set ourselves.
Document one recipe a week.
Yep.
A reel format.
Yeah.
And then we got to July. I was still working at this job. And then I made the break from the job, and then it was kind of like, wow, well, we started the year with a lot of energy, but we lost our focus. And now all this space came about. It gave us the opportunity to bring those elements of our family together and package it up into something that was going to be beautifully received. We didn't know it yet, but
we had no idea the want, the need, the desire that everyone had for this cookbook.
Yeah.
And we thought, we're just going to make this cookbook and see what happens. And then we put it out there, and the demand was huge. So we're like, okay, we've got to get this right.
Yep.
We've got to do this. And then it's been a knock-on effect from the Fit Fam cookbook into what's going to come with Fit Fam workouts. We've got a few workouts already, but we're going to do even better ones.
yeah.
And that all tie into our family values, getting up on a weekend, getting outside and getting committed.
Yeah.
Making sure that we had fun, yummy, quick, easy meals readily available.
We all mumly and dadly on Instagram. So that in itself is, we train, we eat, we sleep to be the best team player we can be in our family, so that our whole family wins the game of life.
Yeah, it's huge. It's huge for, we look at our family or what we do as a job, as a mum and a dad, as a mother and a father, and we do look at it like we are athletes in that zone. So you think about athletes and you probably think about running tracks and all this kind of thing, but we eat, we sleep to make sure that we can get up with good energy. We eat so that we have that sustained energy, so we're not snapping at our kids as much. We have more patience, we have more connectedness, we have more organizations to know what we're doing and where we're going. As parents, we have to lead them. So we are the athletes in this family that lead
Yep.
our little kidleys,
Yes.
our little kitty athletes, so then they can have the best chance at life.
Yeah. And it's to be always ready. I think that's a really cool way of thinking, is that you're always ready to do whatever the family wants to do. Like, for example, the other day, Logie wants to run to school. I'm not tired, cranky dad that has a sore knee. Mondayitis. I can run to school with her, and that gives her the confidence and the ability to know that, well, dad's doing it next to me. I can do it too. I'm not going to give up, even though it's painful. Even though it's pushing her, it's an uncomfortable feeling. She's learning that resilience through it's just doing the resilience. She's assimilating it from me, right? And then there's situations where she comes home with a move from dance, and she wants to practice the move with you, or gymnastics, or acrobatics with you.
Yeah, and that I can say, can you cartwheel, mummy? She said that to me the other day. Can you do a handstand? Or you giggled. Because I was like, yes, I can. And then I did it. And I was like, whoa, that was good.
And there's a split jump on the trampoline. There's countless examples.
Yeah. But
even with Miri, like, growing older than this. And she loves hip hop. And she'll even recite the pillars of hip hop. The graffiti art, the DJ, the MC.
And in the mathematics right now, she's wrapping her mathematics equation.
Yeah. But at this point in time, when you have a daughter that's maturing, it's very common to have abrasion between mum and daughter. Now I see him connect with Miri, with her choreography from dance, doing it with her, teaching her, challenging her, and even though she sometimes hits her ego up, she knows that you know what you're talking about because you walked that tall.
And so even I want to make the point that it's not even about having dance history or having the run history or something, but it's also about it. We know that if our sleep is out of alignment, or we haven't been like prepping our good food, we've been eating out too often, we haven't been consistent with our training, it's all off, right? The whole family's off. And so then therefore you don't have that energy, you don't have that space, that capacity for when your child comes to you with an issue or a problem or something happening at school.
Yep.
If you are on track and you're maintaining all of those really good habits to be a mum leader and dad lead, you are there, present, going, okay, yeah, I remember what it was like to be a kid. I'm not so far off and old and injured and tired and out of it that I can't sit here with you and go, yeah, I remember what that was like. That was hard. If I was back there again, this is how I would handle this differently. Or, do you need an ear to listen? Do you need some advice, or do you need help? I will have that clarity to ask those sort of questions and have that sort of compassion and patience and being present. If I didn't have all the rest of that lined up, with the principles of being a mum lead, I wouldn't be able to be there for them and carry them the best that I can.
Yeah. And it's that awareness, isn't it? It's the awareness of when we do go off track, we see the repercussions, and we're aware of the misalignment. We're aware of, we've been spending too much time binging some new Netflix show at 10 p.m. at night. Got to
bring it back.
And we've constantly...
Or we've been to too many parties. We need to bring out that. Yeah.
So it's not as though we're perfect, but we are hyper aware, and that's what we try to put out there, is that we human like everyone else. We have fights, we
make mistakes, we say sorry,
things that we don't like to say, and then we say sorry for that. But I think
our foundation is
there of understanding that everyone is responsible for their own self-care, but everyone can help each other with that self-care. Is what Fitband's all about. It's the kids getting in the kitchen because they are responsible for the food that they eat, and they're going to carry that throughout their entire life. and they're going to give that to their kids. That they are responsible as well for suggesting an activity to do outside, and just as much as we are responsible to pull them away from the screens when they want to stay on the screen.
Instead, watch TV as soon as they get up in the morning.
Yeah.
It is our responsibility to lead from example and lead from the front.
There's one more thing that you said to me that I want to finish on. This is BB finishing. We've got more to say, go for it. But you said when you moved up to Brisbane, you wanted where you lived to feel like a holiday.
Yeah.
And would you agree that this feels like a holiday for people?
Yeah, for sure.
I agree. I think this is like the most beautiful place that you could live in Australia. As maybe I'm a bit biased, but for most families, they connect when they're already on holiday, and then you go through the year, you work really hard, and then you plan a holiday away. And because we see this all the time, most families have a lot on throughout the school term. They eventually get this time away, but when that time away is booked, the environment might not be right, the company might not be right, and then the family splits off into the kids are over here and the adults are over there drinking, because everyone's just like, oh, please give me some downtime. They're burnt out. So what we want to do with Fifth Ed is to really encourage that connection time that you think you're going to get when you go on holidays, to bring that into everyday life. So when you do go on holidays, you're practiced, you have the structures in place, the routines in place to really enjoy that holiday. How many people have come to us in the past and said, I've got this holiday come out, I've got to get in shape for it. And you and I both know, when you diet and when you try to get in shape for something, you're not operating your best because you're focused on this one thing again, and it doesn't even end up happening. Want to be always ready and practice the stuff that keeps you connected, keeps you healthy, keeps you functioning your best all day long.
So that when you do go on holidays, you can have a good time.
Enjoy yourself
without actually feeling like I'm so exhausted. I'm so
without trying to take the edge off with things that don't actually take the edge off, but just make sure by the end of it. How many people have said to us as well, and we've even experienced it, where you go on holiday and you need a holiday from college, right? So the epitome, the pinnacle of Fifth Ed is that we will run Fifth Ed retreats. Perfect.
That's the goal.
That's the goal.
That's where we're going.
Yeah. So we've got the cookbook over here to bring it into everyday life. And then we've got these retreats that we want to run where families can come and have 10-minute time together, or learn what that actually is and how to actually practice that. Family meetings, cooking in the kitchen, activities, getting on the top ropes, and pushing and cheering and supporting, and what I envision to be a family holiday, something that I would have liked in my childhood. I think that's where it all comes back to for me.
And also, like what I've read in books and about adult and peer orientation. You want to bring your kids back from being so friend orientated, and you want them to come back to you and hold on to them as long as you can. And the book is Hold On to Your Kids. That's exactly what it's called. And it talks about when you go on a holiday, it's meant to bring you back together and bring you connecting more, communicating more, and having fun together. The holiday is not meant to have a break from each other.
Right. So that's the end of the episode. Do you have anything more you want to add to that? Depending on when you listen to this, if you go check out the website, whatever website's up in the description at the time, we've got the simplymethod.com right now. We've also got the fitandcookbook.com, and you'll see a waiting list for this retreat, or you'll see the retreat open. And if you're interested in coming together as a family, learning real skills that you can take back into your own life, and apply them to make your family better and to steer them in the direction you want to steer the ship, then put your name down on the waiting list, sign up, do whatever you need to do to get here, because we really look forward to running these. It's going to be epic.
Okay, and stay tuned for season 3. This is coming up.
Yeah.
Fun.
So yeah.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Hey Mumma. You can find all the relevant links, including socials, in the description section of this podcast. If you want to find out more information about how I can help you build your best body after babies, then visit my website, www.thefitmummethod.com, for more info. Lastly, before you leave here today, if you've enjoyed listening, then please subscribe and share so you can help me to reach out to those mamas that also need to listen too.